Some of you know a little bit about my story. A big piece of my story is that I lost my dad coming up on, 6 years in September. And one of the hardest parts, hold please. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. One of the hardest parts about losing him is now having a son. And I'm pretty sure that my father and my son would have gotten along famously if he was still around. Because there's things that I see in my son that are directly from my father. It's a very strange thing, just because he's only 2.5. And I know it came through me, and that's... about him a lot, especially now that Hudson is around and becoming a little person. And my wife and I have been trying to be very intentional about things that we've done with Hudson and kind of giving him room to write his own story, knowing that the world is going to be telling him things soon. I know we will not be able to shelter him all the time. And I may be very naive because he's only 2.5. But we're trying to create as much space for him, like I said, to write his own story, figure out what it means to be a person walking on this earth. I feel like parenting is holy ground. That 5-day road trip, that was holy ground. All the adventures, the fun, the few moments of big feelings that he had, the deep breaths. Something that my dad did for me as best as he could. He was of the generation that didn't share so much of their feelings. Same for my wife's family. They're even worse, actually. But that's something that kind of the cycle that we want to stop with our son is I want to be transparent with him. He doesn't need to know everything, but he needs to know made a mistake. He needs to know how to say I'm sorry. He needs to know that it's okay to forgive. Because that's holy ground right there. And there's a memory that came back to me after my dad passed away and my older brother Rob and I were talking about it. And I had totally forgotten about this memory when my Mom and Dad, late 70s, they were good days. When they were kind of in between churches, we had church in the backyard of our house amidst these gigantic tall trees, and I sat on this rock, what I thought was a huge rock, but I now know is only about a foot off the ground, and we had church in the backyard. It was my mom, my dad, my brother and I. My dad kind of led us through church. We sang and we took communion. And I want my son to know that church is not about a building. Church is about community. It's about people. It's about Christ ultimately. going through the book of Acts in my church in Nashville right now. The title of the series is We Are the Church. Like it was preached this morning, we are called to remind each other about the work that has been done. That is holy ground. Stepping into situations that are hard, stepping into situations that probably would be more pleasant not to step into, but we're called to speak truth into one another. That's holy ground. He wore a blue sweatsuit as he broke the bread. Dirt beneath our feet and oak trees overhead. There was no steeple, there was no altar there. But he said, God, meet us anywhere. All the steps we take, all the steps we take, all the steps we take along the way, beyond holy ground. I remember sailing away before the dawn, knowing all the places I had done and wrong. And those words you said to me are still ringing loud. You said it's never too late to turn around. Steps we take, all the steps we take, all the steps we take along the way, beyond holy ground, beyond holy ground. I bought a used black silk to go back home. I stood beneath those trees as his wayward take along the way, beyond holy ground.